The 10th commandment in reverse: you shall appreciate what you have, the root of so much restlessness. There's something universal and quietly destructive about the subject of the 10th commandment. It doesn't scream like do not kill or do not steal. It sneaks, it whispers, and then it eats your soul alive from the inside. You shall not covet sounds like an easy one until you realize it's probably the most difficult one of the bunch. It peeks its ugly head when your neighbor gets a car newer than yours, a coworker gets the recognition you thought you deserved, a sibling seems to receive more affection or more blessing or more ease, and you think deep down, why them and not me? Why is my life so bad and theirs so good? We call it jealousy, envy, comparison, but God calls it coveting. And He calls it that because it does something dangerous to your soul. It makes you believe that you've been shortchanged. Coveting is a story you tell yourself. To covet is to believe a lie. If I had what they had, I'd finally be content. But here's the secret nobody tells you. Coveting never stops at just one thing. It morphs, it multiplies. It's a heat missile that always finds a new target. Once you get what you longed for, you want something else. Sound familiar? Coveting says what you have is never enough, because the real problem isn't what you lack. The real problem is that you don't know how to see what you already have. The reverse of coveting. If the command is you shall not covet, then its reverse is this: you shall be content. You shall give thanks. You shall appreciate what you have. That sounds beautiful, but it's harder than it looks. The secret of contentment. Paul says something amazingly striking that has always drawn my eye. In the book of Philippians, he says, I have learned the secret of being content, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. Philippians 4:12. Learned, that's the key. Contentment doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't come pre-installed with your faith. It must be learned, prayed for, practiced, and it is one of the greatest gifts God can give you. If humility is the most beautiful trait one can have, contentment may be the second. Even the blessed get jealous. I'll be honest, this is personal for me. I've struggled with this commandment more than I'd like to admit. I'm not usually jealous of what others have. I'm just terrified of losing what I already do. I think this is also a result of this same sin. I grip things too tightly. I fear that one wrong move will cost me everything. And even when I'm surrounded by so many blessings, my soul starts scanning for what might go wrong, what I can hold on to even tighter, fearing that I might lose it. It's immature, I know, but contentment still feels like a secret I haven't fully unlocked. And yes, sometimes I'm even jealous of people who are secure and content, because I see the peace they walk in, the rest they seem to carry. But here's the thing. Those who are truly blessed are not blessed because they can't lose what they have. They are blessed because they are secure in whatever God gives them. For them, whatever He does is enough. A culture built on coveting. We live in a world that's constantly telling us we don't have enough. Newer phone, bigger house, fitter body, better spouse, more attention, faster car, louder voice, shinier kids. Coveting isn't just accepted in our culture, it's strategically monetized. And yet, the things we long for are almost always meaningless. They pale in comparison to what God has already given us as factory settings. Breath, thought, touch, taste, wonder, laughter, sunlight. All pre-installed, all free. The first sin was a coveting sin. Let's not forget the very first temptation in Eden. Satan didn't bring a sword. He brought a whisper. God's holding out on you. There's something He's keeping for Himself that you should have. If you just take a bite of this, you'll finally be like Him. It wasn't about the fruit. It was about discontent. It was a seed of resentment sown in the soil of entitlement. Think about how powerful a sin coveting must be for Satan to use it first. And it did not take long for this first temptation to produce the first sin. And ever since then, we've been grasping at what we don't have and despising what we do. What it does to those around you. Here's another hard truth. Discontentment isn't just a private battle. It spills out. When you're not content, you pressure others, especially those close to you. Spouses feel the tension. Why aren't you enough for me? Parents feel accused. Why didn't you give me more? Friends feel drained. Why can't I make you happy? Discontent people become impossible to live with. and those around them always feel the pressure to fill a void that only God can satisfy. But when someone is content, it changes everything. They are peaceful, grateful, light to carry. They take nothing for granted, and no one for granted, and they become examples of a different kind of life. This week's challenge. Ask this question daily. What do I already have that I'm ignoring? Each morning, write down 3 things God has given you: physical, relational, spiritual. Then write down 1 thing someone else has that you've been tempted to covet, and pray for that person's joy instead of your own jealousy. If you feel that sting of comparison this week, pause. Take a deep breath. Say out loud, "Lord, thank you. I don't want what they have. I want to treasure what you've given me." And if you want to be truly radical, celebrate what someone else receives without wanting it for yourself. That's the 10th commandment in reverse. Prayer. Lord, I confess I look too often at what I lack. I compare, I crave, I resent, and I forget that you've given me more than I could ever deserve. Forgive me for despising my portion. Forgive me for pressuring others to fill a void only you can fill. Teach me contentment. Teach me to see what I have and not what I don't. Make me grateful. Make me generous, and help me to live free of envy, full of joy, and deeply aware that every good gift comes from you. Amen.